July 18th.
July 18th.
Which is a week we've been talking about for like
a long time.
If you haven't heard about July 18th, there's something big happening. Do you know what's happening today?
Yeah, today we have been talking about Palooza.
You can't not get excited when you say that word.
No, you just say it just because it's fun.
Just jazz hands, the full Palooza. We're really excited. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll tell you a little bit more about it here in a couple minutes. But whether you're joining us right here on our Kirkland campus, or maybe you're joining us from home or your couch or work or your car, really wherever. We really don't care. We're just super, super excited that you guys are spending some time with us here today.
Yeah, and especially if you're watching from online, just want to say welcome. You know, and it's just a great experience. And there's still actually hundreds of us watching from online, and we're so excited and so thankful that you're still engaged with us. And in fact, you know, we have a team of host team members that are wanting to interact with you. So go ahead and comment in there, say hello, drop a few lines there. And also, if you just would take a moment just to share our experience with some of your friends, that would be amazing. Yeah, we'd love to get to know a little bit about more about your story and just connect you into Northshore. And we need to pause here. I realized we never actually introduced ourselves. We did. Yeah, hit the pause button. My name is Stephen Bolt. And David Choi. And as we said earlier, we have the Palooza today. And if you're on our Kirkland campus, you probably walked into your building, your building. It is your building. It's your church. Come on, own it. Into the building here. And you're like, why is there either like a summer festival or Disneyland or some combination of those things in our parking lot right now? And why not? I mean, it's summer. That's the better question we should be asking. Yes. Right. So tell us a little bit more about what can we expect this afternoon? It's happening today. It's happening today, right after our second service. We have live music outside. Yes. Always a great time out there when there's music. Is the live music you? Are you performing? Do you want me to? I would love, if that is, you heard it here, David Choi is going to be a cappella. People don't know about secret talents that people have. And I'm just telling you, I don't have that secret. I was like, what? This is amazing. I can sing a solo, but I want you to come back next week, so I probably won't sing. Okay, so we got live music. Live music. What are some other things? Food. Food. Ton of food. Lots of good food. We got food trucks. And that's always been a hit. We also have a mechanical bull. Yes. If you've never been on a mechanical bull, do yourself a favor. You can YouTube mechanical bull fails. Get excited, get hyped. It's get pumped. You can nominate someone. You can, nominate your spouse. Nominate your spouse. Your kids. Voluntold. It's great. Well, there's going to be tons of stuff. Dunk tanks, inflatables, bouncy houses. We have a little bit of everything out there. So no matter what age or stage you are in, you are invited. Obviously, it's all free. You can come, experience that, buy some lunch from one of the food trucks, and we're providing refreshments and a few other things. But the really exciting thing is if this is your first time joining us, whether you're online or right here on our Kirkland campus, if you're here and it's your first time, we actually want to buy your lunch this afternoon. Yes. So to make that happen, all you have to do is just text Northshore to 97,000. Or if you are on our Kirkland campus, on your seat when you walked in, there was a little connection card. Take a look at that. There's a little checkbox there for It's My First Time. At the end of the service, you can bring that out. Bring that out to the guest services table, and we would love to give you a voucher for free lunch this afternoon. Yeah. And if you're at home watching and you're like, I want free lunch, easy. Text that number, Northshore 97,000, and then come on into campus, come to the guest services table, and we'd love to give you that voucher. We are so excited that you're joining us today and excited to have you at the Palooza. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so again, if you're just joining us, my name is Stephen Bolt. And my name is David. And in addition to the Palooza, we've got another really exciting thing coming up this week called Starting Point. It starts on Tuesday. Yes. And our Starting Point coordinator, Becky, wanted to take some time and just share with you a little bit more about what that is and what you can expect. So check this out.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Becky, and I want to tell you about something that could really change your life. I get to be part of an experience that we host a few times a year here called Starting Point, which is a 4-week series where we walk through some of the DNA of Northshore and just some of the ways you can go deeper in your relationship with Jesus. But the best part of the experience is just getting to know you. We love getting to know people who are looking for their place and looking for their people here, and really helping you take those steps and find those people. And we know God has gifted you in some amazing ways. We want to be part of sending you out into our community and into the world world and helping you find those places that are so life-giving that they just change you forever. So I hope you'll consider joining us. We have a series coming soon, and you can sign up and read more about it at our website at northshore.church/startingpoint. So I hope to see you there.
Well, we really hope to see you at Starting Point. You're not going to want to miss it. It starts this Tuesday. So either head out to guest services table or head to our website, northshore.church, get signed up today. So you're probably wondering, what is happening here? Why is there a Tupperware that's been, or a storage tote that's been cut up and sliced up? And right now, we are in a series called Less Fear, More Courage. So tell us what this is about.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but a lot of times, a lot of the fear revolves around the things that are unknown and just unseen. We just don't see what's ahead of us. And we're wondering what's going on. God, what is this, right? We're trying to figure out what we don't know. And so I thought it'd be great for us to play a little game with Steven. What he's gonna do is he's gonna put his hand into this box, just muster up all of that courage, all right?
All that courage.
And you're gonna try to figure out what it is that we put in this box.
So,
what do you think?
So just like this, put my hand in, try and
Put
figure,
your
and I don't know what any of these are.
No, he has no idea.
Okay.
Not even a clue.
I really hope you didn't talk to my wife about like my biggest fears, because if there's a lizard in there, I will leave this place and never come back. Not that extreme. But I hope you didn't talk to her. So I need to turn around.
You need to turn around. We're gonna bring our first item in.
You just let me know if I hear any squeaking or like squealing or squishing.
All right, here we go. Item number 1.
I am actually, I didn't think I'd be this nervous, but I actually am really nervous. Is it gonna bite? Is there anything that will bite me?
You know, your life is not in danger, I'll say. Like,
oh my gosh.
survival rate is probably like
Am I
89%.
close? Dude, if this bites me, I'm gonna freak out.
Okay, go straight down.
I'm so scared. Okay. Oh, okay, it doesn't bite. I'm not that scared anymore. A clothes hanger? Don't break it. The top half of a clothes hanger.
Nope, not even close. I'm gonna show you what it is.
Okay,
you ready?
Yeah. That's my guess, a dog treat. Yep.
This is my night guard.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You're just fiddling around my night guard.
Yep. Okay, let's get the second one going
number
here.
2.
That's so funny. Oh, well, so it does kind of bite, or at least you bite.
Yeah.
My hand was literally shaking. We're gonna go quick on this one. Oh, I'm so scared. Is this one?
This one's pretty gross too.
Oh gosh. Is my hand on it?
You're on it. You're on it.
Oh. What? Dude, that is weird. Is that feathers? Cotton.
Close. Close.
Dude,
Little bit, think grosser.
grosser than feathers or cotton? Oh my gosh, is that like armpit hair or something? What is it? Is it armpit hair?
It's hair.
Oh.
It's not armpit hair though, but it is gross.
It is hair, okay.
It's hair.
Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna ask whose hair that is. You are really
not gonna
playing up
tell
the
you.
fear
Hey,
element to this.
okay.
All right, let's keep
Okay,
cruising.
keep going.
Here.
All right. We got 2 more, yeah.
Okay,
All right, come on in.
here we go. Oh.
What?
I can squeeze it.
Yeah, you got to get right in there to feel it, to really know
It
what
smells like
is.
dog food. It's for sure dog food. This is dog food.
It's pretty close, but it's Spam.
Oh, okay. That is so gross. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, you made a mess.
These are so gross.
All right, here we
Wow.
go. Next one.
Okay. So again, is this thing gonna bite or sting or scream?
It won't. It won't. Go down. There
I
you
don't
go.
want to do this.
There you go.
Oh.
It's pleasant, isn't it?
I wouldn't call it
Yeah.
pleasant. It's.
You got to really get in there, you know.
Can I break it?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
go for
It
it.
feels wet and cold. I don't know what is this some sort of meat product?
It's close. It's close to a meat product.
Is it? I don't know. Maybe like a meatball. That's what I'll say. Is it a meatball?
No,
Oh, it
is
doesn't feel
actually
great.
Oysters.
Oh, that's so gross. Oh my gosh. Well, wow. We hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. I don't even know how to respond after that.
Yeah.
I need to go wash my hands. But we are in this series called Less Fear, More Courage. Maybe after this you have the courage to like stick your hand in a dark, cold space somewhere. But last week's message was so good, and we want to take you back and show you how Scotty kicked off the message. Check this out.
Friends, you'll never know that God can catch you unless you jump. Remember, this is a God who promises to be faithful, who promises to be good, who promises to be with you, who promises to be present. And he's never dropped anyone, and he promises to never drop you. But you have to jump. You have to take a step. You have to take the reins in your life.
Well, last week was such a great message by Scotty. This week we have another great one.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and we are excited that you're here with us, whether you're here in Kirkland or online. We just want to say thank you for spending some time with us. We're about to jump into service together, and once again, welcome to Northshore.
Well, hey, welcome to Northshore. How you guys doing? That's good. That was a B+. That was pretty strong. But let's aim a little higher. How you guys doing? There we go. Hey, today's going to be awesome. Go ahead and stand up if you would, please. Welcome if you're in this room or joining us online. Today we have an opportunity to engage with God. This is more than just some songs and someone speaking. Though those are good things, we're here to actually engage with God. And so whatever you need to do in this moment for your heart and your mind to be open to Him, go ahead and do it. If that's a worship posture, if that's even pausing for a second and taking a breath and kind of transitioning into this moment. Our goal in this is to give God the worship that He deserves. And that is exactly what our soul needs as well. So, church, can we do that together? Can we worship God together? Okay, awesome. Well, let's get started. There is no shadow that has ever overcome your light. There is no rival that could ever stand against your might. You've always been with us. Every battle you've already won. You've already won. Amen. Let's sing together. There's no weapon. There is no weapon that has ever left a mark on you. There is no army, no, with the power to conquer truth. You've always been with us. Every battle you've already won. You've already won. Show me one thing He can't do. Show me a mountain He can't move. He's the God of the breakthrough. Anything is possible. Yeah. Show me one thing that's too hard. Show me waters He can't part. He's the God of the breakthrough, and anything is possible. It's possible. There is a kingdom that's advancing at the speed of light, and in His kingdom, every dead thing is bound to rise. Oh God, our Redeemer, He is faithful to revive. Oh, He will revive. Yeah. Show me one thing He can't do. Show me Let's put our hands together like this. Oh, and all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment and break every chain. Oh, all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment and break every chain. Oh, all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment. Show me one thing you can't do. Show me a mountain he can't move. He's the God of the breakthrough, and anything is possible. Yeah. Show me one thing that's too hard. Show me waters you can't part. He's the God of the breakthrough, and anything is possible. All right, let's keep going.
I stand before you now. The greatness of your renown. I've heard of the majesty and wonder of you, King of heaven. In humility I bow. And as your love, wave after wave, crashes over me,
read this verse over us today. This verse applies to each and every one of us. This is God's promise to you. From Isaiah 41:10, it says, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand." That is God's promise to us today. Let's keep singing. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. All right, you guys take this part. You sound beautiful. Keep going. Waymaker. That is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, Jesus. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you, yeah. I worship you. Oh, you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. That is who you are, yeah. That is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you are. God, that is who you are. 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 Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. And even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Waymaker,
Well, hey everyone, welcome to Northshore. You guys can have a seat. My name is David. I'm on the team here. Hey, I'm so glad that you guys are here with us today, that we get to worship together and spend a great time together. Hey, if this is your first time here at Northshore, can I just extend a warm welcome, especially to you? Just say thank you for being here with us today. In fact, there are a couple of ways for you to stay connected with us, and we'd love to just know that you are here and even help you find a way to just plug into the church. There are two ways to do that. First, you can text the word North Shore to 97000, and you can fill out a little form there. Also, you might have noticed right there on the seat backs there, we have connection cards. And if you wouldn't mind, just all of us just filling that out together, in fact, we just love to know that you are here, but especially if you are new, you can go ahead and check that box on the top right-hand corner, and we have a special gift for you if you're new here. You can take this card to the guest services back there after the service, and we're gonna give you a meal voucher for one of our food vendors outside today, all right? So that's a great deal. We got some great food outside. And speaking of outside, you might have noticed something a little bit different out there, yeah? There's a lot of things going on out there. Today is Summer Palooza. You guys ready for this? Yeah, really excited. And honestly, Summer Palooza is a way for us to just connect with each other and with our neighbors. Swing by there after the service. We're gonna have obviously a lot of food. We have drinks on us. We have a mechanical bull out there, mini golf, bounce houses, and I'm looking forward to this, but we have a dunk tank out there. And Scotty's gonna be in there, and we wanna keep him hydrated on this hot day, don't we? Yeah, so join me out there. It's gonna be a great time. Another thing, this week we're kicking off another season of Starting Point. Starting Point is, it's just a great way to learn about Northshore, who we are, and why we do the things that we do. And it's a great opportunity to get plugged in and learn more about our ministry, and for us to learn more about you. And so if you wouldn't mind signing up for that, you can also sign up here on this connection card. We're gonna have greeters outside. You can drop it off in one of the buckets on your way out. But it's just a great way to learn more about the church. It's a 4-week experience. I'm gonna be joining it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Don't leave me hanging. I wanna see you guys all there, all right? One last thing, I wanna just take a moment just to say thank you. Like, really, thank you for your generosity and just being such a big part of just contributing to just the mission of this church. Thank you for believing in us. In fact, if you didn't notice, the past couple months, in fact, every week we've been having more and more people coming, whether they're new or coming back from the pandemic. People are coming, people are worshiping together, and it's such a great thing. And really, it's because of your generosity just making that happen. So let me just say thank you for doing that. And of course, if this is your first time here, you have no obligation, no pressure at all to give. We're just glad that you're here with us today. All right? Well, it's gonna be a great day. We have a great message here for you. So before we get there, take a look at this video.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to North Shore. So good to see you. I'm so glad that you're with us this weekend, whether it's your first time here, or maybe your first time in a while. And for those of you joining us online, so glad that you're tuning in wherever you're watching from. And by the way, if you're in the Kirkland area, you still have time to get out of those pajamas and get over to our campus, because Summer Palooza is today, which is super exciting. And yes, it's true, I'm gonna be in the dunk tank today, but as your pastor, I need to remind you of those sacred words from Jesus himself, who said, "Let the one who is without sin throw first." Okay? God's watching, so. Hey, as we dive into the message today, I want to start with a story from when I was a kid. When I was growing up, all I wanted to be in life was bigger. Now, some of you have heard me talk about this before. I grew up kind of always small for my age. Remember those signs at the amusement park or the fair, too short to ride? Like, those applied to me until like a couple years ago, right? Growing up on the smaller side, it had its challenges in life. When I was learning to play sports, the other kids were always, bigger and stronger and faster. When I was in middle school, I often kind of got pushed around by bigger kids who like to bully smaller kids. When I was in high school, I actually made the varsity basketball team, but I never played in any games. I was too short to actually get in the game. So the taller kids played while I sat on the bench and developed character. And through all those years, I remember thinking to myself, if only I was a little bigger, if only I was a little bit taller, if only I was a little bit stronger, then I'd have more friends. Then I'd be more successful at sports. Then I'd feel more attractive. Then, and then finally, I got a little bit bigger. I got a little bit taller. Not too much taller, but I got a little bit taller. And you know what happened? Those fears didn't go away. The insecurity in me didn't go away. The self-doubt that I wrestled with didn't go away. You know, it's kind of like when you get into that school or you get that dream job and you think the self-doubt inside is just gonna magically disappear, but it doesn't. Or when you get married or you start dating someone and you believe, you're just so convinced, the loneliness or the emptiness inside, it's just gonna go away, but then it doesn't. Or when you finally reach that level of financial security, you've got that great job, things are all kind of lined up, and you think your fears about your life or the future, they're just gonna go away, but then they don't. You see, when it comes to dealing with fear and anxiety in life, our strategy, it's kind of a universal human thing. Our strategy is how can I make my life bigger or stronger or greater? If I just become rich enough or attractive enough or popular enough or successful enough, then I won't be afraid, right? But just think for a moment about the biggest fear, the biggest worry in your life right now. Maybe your biggest worry is about a loved one in your life, or losing a loved one in your life. Maybe your biggest fear is about being criticized or being rejected by someone. Maybe your biggest fear is around money or having enough or having security for your future. Or maybe it's something else. I actually read an article this past week that said the number one fear in America is what I'm doing right now, public speaking, right? Some people say they fear public speaking more than death itself. Isn't that interesting? It's like hard for me to believe. I mean, that means some people would rather die than give a sermon. I mean, I know people who'd rather die than hear a sermon. Some of you are thinking that right now, but you know, it's a kind of a remarkable thing. We all wrestle with fear or worry in some way or another. And sometimes those fears, for whatever reason, can seem so big, so overwhelming, so scary, so powerful. But maybe, and this is what we're gonna be talking about today, maybe your fears aren't too big. Maybe your God is actually too small. Maybe what's actually happening in your life, again, we're gonna dive into this together. Maybe your fears aren't too big. Maybe what's happening, maybe your God is too small. Whoever you believe God to be, maybe your God is too small. You see, if your God is too small, you're gonna constantly worry about the future because your God isn't big enough to protect it. If your God is too small, you're gonna be tempted to strive for wealth or status or achievement because your God isn't big enough to satisfy you. If your God is too small, you'll be easily discouraged by criticism or rejection or disappointment because your God isn't big enough to support you or define you. You see, whether you follow Jesus or not, and if you don't follow Jesus, we're so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're here taking a risk to be at church this weekend or to watch online. But whether you follow Jesus or not, how you live your life is a reflection of how big your God is. However you're living is actually a mirror, it's a reflection, it's a picture of how big you believe God to be. And that means overcoming your fears, overcoming your worries, overcoming fear in life isn't about having a bigger or stronger or greater life. It's about trusting a bigger and stronger and greater God. And I hope I can convince you to do that today. Now, if you were here last week, we started this new series called Less Fear, More Courage. And we're looking at some stories in the Bible of men and women who had to kind of face their fears and live with courage. And we've been diving into these kind of three old books of the Bible, Joshua, Judges, and Ruth. And if you were here last week, we talked through the story of this man named Joshua, his taking the reins in his life and taking responsibility for his life and the courage he lived in that one. And then next week, we're gonna look at the remarkable story of this woman, Ruth. It's gonna be an incredible weekend. You're not gonna wanna miss it. But between those two books, there's a collection of stories, very unique stories in this book called Judges. Now, just so you know, judges in the Bible are not the same thing exactly as judges in our day. They were more like tribal leaders who protected God's people and led them through battles and were on guard against foreign invasion. And there's actually 12 judges in the book of Judges that you can read about. Some of these names are going to look kind of strange, not familiar, but some of these names you know, or you might know, like Samson. Strong, athletic, great hair, terrible at relationships, kind of like someone you dated in high school, right? Everyone has a Samson name in their life. Or maybe you've heard the name Deborah. The woman who was leading all of Israel. And yes, women lead in the Bible, even over men, that happens. But what's true about all of these judges, whether you know their stories or not, is they all came into leadership in some kind of a crisis in Israel. In fact, one of the most common phrases that you see in the book of Judges over and over is, and the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Like over and over, they fell into idolatry. Or they began to worship other gods, or they took on the practices of the Canaanite culture. That happened over and over again. And God would then allow some foreign nation to invade Israel as kind of a wake-up call. And then the Israelites would cry out to God for help. They would cry out for help, and God would then raise up a leader or a judge who would deliver them back into a season of peace, which would last only until they were unfaithful again. And the cycle continued and continued over and over and over, which brings us to our story, Judges chapter 6, verse 1. You can follow along. No surprise how the story begins. The Israelites, once again, did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years, he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Now, who are they? What's the context here? Well, Midian, or the Midianites, was a group of nomadic tribes, nomadic people that lived in what's now the Arabian Peninsula. And at times, they would travel north to Israel and invade Israel, and they would basically steal their crops and their livestock. And they were so numerous and they were so hostile that Israel would actually retreat and live in caves. I mean, they were hiding in fear. In fact, the text says that Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help. Again, it's part of the cycle, right? We've seen this over and over in the book of Judges. That's not a surprise. What's a surprise is the person who God picks to be that leader, who he chooses. Let's look at what happens. Verse 11 says, the angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak of Ophrah, not Oprah, Ophrah, that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon, this is going to be our person, Gideon was threshing wheat in a wine press to keep it from the Midianites. Now, we need to pause because I want you to understand what's happening in this scene. Gideon is threshing wheat in a wine press. Now, for those of you who thresh wheat for a living, you know that doesn't happen in a wine press. It happens in this large open space called a threshing floor. In the ancient world, that might look something like this, kind of a large, kind of open space where workers or farmers would take straw and they would use tools to beat the straw or beat the grain just to loosen the grain from it. So that's threshing wheat. And you would expect Gideon to be threshing wheat on a threshing floor. In fact, later in the story, we're going to find out he has a threshing floor, but he's not on it. Nope, our guy Gideon is threshing wheat in a wine press, which in the ancient world looks something like this, a hole in the ground where they would kind of get in, crouch down, and tread on grapes, basically to make wine. But here's the thing. You can't really thresh wheat in a wine press. I mean, you got to crouch down. It's ineffective. You're kind of not able to do it. You can't hold much wheat. It's not efficient. Sort of like in our day, it'd be like trying to mow your lawn with a beard trimmer, okay? It would take forever. It wouldn't really work out. Your neighbors would be like, what are you doing? What's happening over there? So why is Gideon threshing wheat down in a wine press? Because he's afraid. He's terrified. He's insecure. He doesn't want the Midians to come and take his little bit of wheat, so he's hiding, which is when the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon and said, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. And I kind of think Gideon would laugh because he's like, mighty warrior, me? I mean, I think you've got the wrong address. I think you've got the wrong guy. I think you need to look somewhere else because Gideon's not a mighty warrior. He's more like a terrified thresher. He's hiding in a hole in the ground. But here's the deal. God chooses him anyway. He chooses him anyway. You see, your fear, your worry does not disqualify you from God choosing you. In fact, God often comes and calls and chooses people who are afraid. And notice, God doesn't just call him out when he's afraid. He calls him by a name that calls him out of his fear. Mighty warrior. Because, and this is really important, we become like what we're called. Just like all the labels and names you may have been called in your past that still live in your heart, your soul somewhere, you're still trying to work out the shame or the guilt or the disappointment or the insecurity from those other labels. God comes and he calls you out by a different name, a name that gives you courage. A name that gives you courage. He looks out into this room, he looks at you watching online and says, I see a strong leader. I see a smart student. I see a confident parent. I see a faithful spouse. By the way, whose voice are you really listening to when you're afraid? Yours? Somebody else's you know? Or the God who made you and who knows you and who sees what he can be and do in you and through you? Well, it's that God who comes to Gideon when he's hiding down in a wine press and says, guess what, Gideon? You're my guy. I'm choosing you out of everybody else, everybody who's stronger, everybody who's greater, everybody who has more influence. Nope, I don't want them. I want you. You're my guy, mighty warrior. But as you might expect, not only is this a shock to Gideon, but he's still living in his fear. And by the way, courage doesn't always happen just overnight. So Gideon objects. He's not having it. Pardon me, my Lord, he replied, but if the Lord is with us. Now pause real quick. What did God say? God said, I'm with you, Gideon. But Gideon, he can't even fathom that God would call him. He can't even believe it would be about him. So he changes the pronouns up. If the Lord is with us, us as a group, not me, but us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian. You see, when your God is too small, you begin to believe that things can't change, right? That problem in that marriage, it's not gonna change. That job, it's not gonna change. The problem in your life, it's not gonna change. It's just the way it is, we say, right? Or it's just the way I am, we say, right? That's where Gideon is. And again, it's a picture, a reflection of just how small God has gotten in his life. Things are never gonna change. There's no real hope here. Why even bother me? I need to keep threshing my wheat in my little wine press, God. But the good news is Gideon's lack of faith doesn't stop God. So the Lord turned back to him and said, go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you? He reverses the pronoun right back on you, Gideon. And I love this phrase, in the strength you have. Not in the strength of somebody else, not in the strength of that neighbor you know, or that friend you know, or that person who's really strong and really courageous and really holy and has their life together, not in their strength. You go in the strength you have. See, there's no strength prerequisite here. He just says, go with what you got. And for Gideon, by the way, it's not very much. But that doesn't stop God. It's enough for him. But good old Gideon, oh my goodness, I love this guy. He objects again. Check this out. He says, pardon me, my Lord. Notice how polite he is. When you're gonna say no to God, you might as well be polite, right? Like, God, I'm sorry, pardon me, my Lord, but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. See, when Gideon looks at his life, all he can see are his limitations. That's all I can see. All the lists of why he can't be the guy. Ever do that? Ever have a moment where all you see is why you can't be the guy? And then it becomes a list of reasons. I might call them excuses because that's what they are in my life, but maybe for you, you call them reasons why you can just go ahead and say no to God, no to the adventures he has for you. God, I can't save Israel. My clan is the weakest. God, I can't serve in my church. I'm just way too busy. God, I can't really share my faith. I don't have all the answers. I wouldn't know how to have that conversation. God, I can't give any money away. I'm barely getting by month to month as it is. But here's the thing. Your limitations don't actually limit God. In fact, sometimes we have this false sense of humility, like, oh, it could never be me. God could never call me. I don't have what it takes. But in my life, I don't know about you, in my life, that's not humility. It's just being self-absorbed. It's just seeing only what I lack, only my limitations instead of what God could do through me. But your limitations don't limit God. And that's kind of what God goes and says to Gideon. Look at what he says. He said, the Lord answered, says, I will be with you. Like that's gonna be enough. Like that's all you're gonna need. I will be with you, and therefore you will strike down all the Midianites, not some of them, not a few of them, not even most of them, all of them, leaving none alive. In other words, God is all you need on your resume. In other words, it's not about your strength, it's about his. It's not about your courage, it's about his. Kind of goofy illustration of this. How many of you remember the old Disney movie, The Lion King? Anybody? Not like the new one with the animals talking, that's kind of weird, but like the old school, like classic Lion King, right? Well, there's this scene when Simba is like a little cub and he wanders off to a place where he's not supposed to be and he gets cornered by this group of hyenas. And so he lets out the biggest roar he can, which sounds a lot more like a little kitten than a lion. And the hyenas, you remember the part, they just start laughing at him, right? They're like, is that all you got? You know, do it again. We want to hear that again. And so he lets out a roar one more time, but this time you hear this loud, earth-shaking roar. Remember who it was? It was the roar of his father, who was there at his back to save him. And that roar left no doubt who was actually in charge. And friends, that's exactly what life with God is like. When your roar is not loud enough, he will roar for you. When your strength isn't strong enough, he'll be strong for you. And therefore, having courage in this life, overcoming fear in this life, it's not about your strength, it's about his. But guess what? And you're gonna love this. It's so relatable. Gideon's so relatable. Guess what? Gideon still doesn't buy it. Like he's still not having it. In fact, after all that God's told him, he's not sure. So you know what he does? He asks God for a sign. Ever ask God for a sign? He asks God for like, just prove yourself. So look at what he says. He says, okay, God, if, it's a big if here, if you will save Israel by my hands as you have promised, look, I'll place a wool fleece on the, hey, guess what? On the threshing floor that's been here the whole time. If there's dew on only the fleece and not and all the ground is dry, then I'll know you will save Israel by my hand, just as you said. Ever have a moment like that with God? Where you're afraid, so you ask for something kind of like a sign. God, if you do this, then I'll go, but it's only because I want you to do the thing I want you to do. Anyone ever do that? I heard a story not long ago about a guy who's driving down the road and he goes by, he sees this bakery and he says, okay, God, if there's a parking lot in front of the bakery, I know it's a sign for me to go in and get a donut, right? Ever done something like that? And on the fifth time around, there's a parking space and he goes in and gets a donut, right? Well, sure enough, right? Sometimes we ask God for a sign out of faith. Sometimes we do. But sometimes we ask God for a sign out of our fear because we don't trust him to take care of us or we don't want to go where he's calling us. Well, Gideon is so afraid, he starts asking God for one sign after another. Some of you know the story. He says, if there's dew on the ground, but not on the fleece, then I'll know you're, being truthful with what you're saying. And so God does it. And Gideon's like, that was nice, but let's try this one more time. I'm still not sure. If there's dew on the fleece, but not on the ground, then I'll believe you. And guess what? God does it again. And by the way, there's a principle here that's really important for us. God is patient even when you're afraid. I mean, I think in my life, when I feel fear, I feel like, well, he's gonna run out of patience so quick. I mean, I'm being so afraid and so cowardly and so whatever. God is patient with Gideon over and over and over in this story. It's worth going back. It's 3 chapters long, read through it. He is so patient time and time again. He doesn't ever rebuke Gideon. He just reminds him, you can trust me, you can trust me, you can trust me. And so Gideon finally goes. He finally goes. And if you know the story, he starts to put together this Israelite army that's gonna go up against those strong and numerous Midianites. But he's got a problem. And it's not an abstract or theoretical, conceptual problem. It's a very concrete problem. It's a numbers problem. Any numbers people in the room? You're gonna like this part of the story. He's got a numbers problem. So we're just gonna go through a series of dashboards just so we can keep up with the numbers in the story, okay? So if you like math, you will love this part of the sermon, okay? So we got 135,000 Midianites. Gideon's only able to put together 32,000 Israelites, so he's outnumbered 4-1. So you know what God does? God comes to Gideon. He says, Gideon, you are way outnumbered. It's not gonna work. Let's go get us some more guys, right? Nope, just the opposite. Look at what God does. The Lord said to Gideon, you have what? Too many men. I mean, that's the last thing that's true about the story. You have too many men. Look what he says next. So I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me. My own strength has saved me. It's as if God's saying, like, the last thing that we can have happen is for Israel to think, wow, look at us. We did it. We were so strong. We overcame. We were the underdog. So now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead. So guess what? 22,000 men left, leaving 10,000 behind, which means, let's go back to our dashboard. Midian still at 135,000, right? Israel's down to 10,000 people. So now, if you do the math, Gideon is outnumbered 13-1. And so God says, oh my goodness, that little trick, that didn't work. We're way outnumbered. This is way too hard. We're not gonna make it. Let's go find some more guys, right? Not even close. Look at what happens. But the Lord said to Gideon, you know what? There's still too many men. Get this. Take them down to the water and I will thin them out for you there. I mean, the last thing this army needs is more thinning out, right? Let's just go thin out some more guys. So Gideon took the men down the water. Now, this is a real kind of unique part of the story. It says, and there the Lord told him, separate those who lap the water with their tongues as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink. So 300 of them drank from cupped hands, lapping like dogs. All the rest got on their knees to drink. Kind of a strange part of the story. Well, just so you know, in that day, dogs were not like prized and precious little, cute little pets like they are today. In fact, in that day, no one pampered a dog. No one would buy little treats shaped like cookies for a dog. No one dressed up a dog in like a little doggy sweater for the family picture. And by the way, for those of you who do that, please stop. God hates that, okay? Stop. Dogs in that day were considered like dirty and dispensable animals. They weren't appreciated. So you would think God would at least pick the knee drinkers over the dog lappers, right? Wrong again. Check this out. The Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hand. Let all the others go home. Let's go back to our dashboard, shall we? Here are the numbers. It says we got 135,000. Midian staying strong. They haven't lost a guy. Israel's down to what? 300. So God, of his own doing, has now outnumbered the Israelites 450-1. And not only that, they've got knee drinkers. We've got all the dog lappers. Like, it's a total mess. Like, the whole thing is in chaos. And here's the deal. God could just keep on going with this. He could just keep going. Let's get rid of all those guys whose names start with the letter J. Let's get rid of all the people who grew up on a farm. Let's just keep thinning it out and thinning it out and thinning it out. You know why? Because do you know how many men God needs to defeat the Midianites? 0. None. God doesn't need a soldier. God doesn't need a weapon. God doesn't need a strategy. Because he is big enough. You know, one of the phrases that our daughter Nora is using a lot these days is when I get bigger. Say, Daddy, when I get bigger, I'm gonna drive a car like you. Daddy, when I get bigger, I'm gonna go to work like you. Daddy, when I get bigger, I'm gonna eat donuts in the pantry when no one's looking, just like you, right? Like, when I get bigger, like I'm watching you, when I get bigger. And that's how we think about life. Like, when I get bigger, when I have more money, when I've been more successful, when I'm established, when I've become someone, when I have lots of followers, then I won't be afraid anymore, because we think overcoming fear, it's about the strength of your resume or the health of your portfolio, but it's not. Overcoming fear is about the size of your God. And to prove it, God will often, he will do this. He will lead you into situations where you feel outnumbered, outmatched, and overwhelmed, because here's the thing, God is not trying to grow your wealth or your resume or your power or your popularity. He's trying to grow your faith. He's trying to grow your belief. He's trying to grow your trust. And he wants you to know he's big enough for that decision. He is big enough for that relationship. He is big enough for that problem. He's big enough for that secret. He's big enough for that struggle. He is always big enough. You know, last winter when COVID broke out right here in our backyard, I felt God say to me, Scotty, I want you to lead your church into doing something about this. And I said, how am I going to do that? I mean, God, you know, I skipped the global pandemics class in seminary, so I don't know exactly what to do next. And God was like, you know what? You have too many people. Let's just empty this room and quarantine your church and see what happens. You know what happened? Over $250,000 were given to COVID relief. And a whole new facility was built over at Vision House in Kenmore. And food was stacked for months, literally months, on the Woodinville storehouse shelves. And we had our highest numbers at Easter ever in our history, all while this room was empty. Impossible? No, because God is big enough. And when we start to believe that God is big enough, guess what? That victory in your life that seems so impossible becomes inevitable. I mean, that's what it was for Gideon. I mean, if you know the story, it's actually kind of funny. Gideon and those 300 dog lappers go out and they sneak into the Midianite camp at night and they blow trumpets and they smash jars on the ground. True story. Blow trumpets, smash jars. That's not a strategy. That's just silly, okay? Just silliness. But the Midianites, they woke up so confused, they started attacking each other. They run away. The victory that was impossible had become inevitable. It reminds me of these ancient words written by the Apostle Paul to the church in Corinth when he said, but God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. And by the way, that's Gideon, right? From the least in his family to the greatest leader in Israel. From the weakest clan to the mighty warrior. From a hole in the ground to victory over death itself. And by the way, there's another story in the Bible that goes a lot like that, isn't there? Story about a carpenter from Nazareth named Jesus who was put on a cross and buried in a hole in the ground, only to find out God was big enough. You see, when Jesus came walking out of that tomb, it meant nothing is too big for God, not even death. And I know, it's so hard to believe this in a world that's built on political power and social influence and financial clout. It's easy to think you're only as strong as you are, right? You're only as strong as your resume or your relationship status or your investment portfolio or your job title. Like there's a moment like that later in Gideon's story when he's face to face with the last two leaders of the Midianite tribe. It's like the two strongest of the bunch. And even after they've been captured, they're still taunting Gideon. They say, as is the man, so is his strength. In other words, Gideon, you are only as strong as you are. Well, friends, that is the lie. That is the lie. The truth is, you are as strong as the God who is with you. And the God of the Bible needs no army to win a battle and no money to be rich and no applause to be worthy of worship because he is big enough. He's big enough. Quick story, and I'll be done. Almost 5 years ago, someone here in our church was diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer and was given less than 12 months to live. This was 5 years ago. I mean, talk about big fears. This is like as scary as you get for that couple and for their family. And it's in moments like that, and you've been in moments where you've got the hard news or the big challenge, the overwhelming odds. It's in moments like that that God can seem really small and you feel like you're on your own. Or God can get really, really big. And you begin to choose every day to trust him with everything that you've got. And this couple started trusting God every day with everything that they've got through the debilitating treatments, the uncertain moments, all those hard days. Well, I'm here to tell you 5 years later that cancer is in full remission. His brain scans are clear. He's jogging every day. He's even learned to play the piano. In fact, this past week, he was at a routine checkup, and the oncologist was so amazed, she said, I wish we could bottle up whatever you're doing and give it to all my patients. To which his wife said, well, you can't put God in a bottle. And no, you certainly cannot. You can't put him in a bottle or a box or a formula or a theory. God is just too big. And guess what? He knows all about the Midianites in your life. He does. He knows about the divorce. He knows about the financial struggle. He knows about the secret. He knows about the infidelity. He knows about all those things. And guess what? He is still big enough. He's bigger than your pain. He's bigger than your problems. He's bigger than your past. And when he roars, he leaves no doubt who's really in charge. And so I want to give each of you a chance right now to let him roar back into your life as the God who he is. So if you would just close your eyes, bow your heads for just a moment right now. And we're going to go before this God who is big enough right now. No matter what you're facing, no matter what the odds or the dashboard seems to say, our God is big enough. I'm going to give you a way to trust him right now. And by the way, if you've never placed your trust in Jesus, if you've never made a decision to put your life into his hands, you can do that right now. In fact, you can just say these words, Jesus, I believe that you're big enough. I believe that you came into this world and gave your life for me on that cross to die for my sins, to make me right with you. And that means you can overcome any problem I'm facing. I believe, Jesus. You can say those words. And by the way, if it's the first time you've ever prayed that prayer, you've ever trusted this big God with your life, with everyone's eyes closed and heads down, I want to challenge you right now. Just hold your hand up for just a moment. Nobody's looking. Online as well. Thank you for that hand. Thank you. God is at work in this place, and he's really, really big, and he's really, really good. And for the rest of us, we can all pray, God, we can start just by confessing, Jesus, we've made you so small. We put you in the box of our financial constraints or our limitations or our understanding or our education or whatever it may be. So Jesus, break through our self-sufficiency and break through our fears and break through our worries and break through all the ways we say, pardon me, Lord, but no thanks. And find us and redeem us and remake us and give us courage to take on whatever you're calling us to take on as a mighty warrior, armed not with our strength, but with yours. God, roar back into our life, leaving a roar that leaves no doubt who's really in charge. God, be big enough, just as you are. And everybody who agreed with this prayer said, amen.
Well, hey, let's all stand together and respond to God in this moment. I am weary from the waves crashing over every day. God of mercy, please come rescue me. I am longing for your voice, that gentle whisper in the noise. Father, tell me everything's alright. open the heavens. Almighty God, you are overcomer, defender of my heart. Let's all sing together. By your power, by your power, the oceans open wide. Your fire falls down, heaven and earth collide. King Jesus, forever by my side. Oh, shake the mountains, break the walls apart, open the heavens. Almighty God, you are overcomer, defender of my heart. Oh, we sing of your power, Jesus, and by your power, the oceans open wide. Your fire falls down, heaven and earth collide. King Jesus, forever by my side. Yeah. Your power, your presence, great stronghold, King of heaven. When you speak, the mountains will move, and I believe there will be breakthrough in your power, your presence, the great stronghold, King of heaven. When you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Oh, there will be breakthrough. There will be breakthrough. So we can sing this in faith over our lives today. Sing your power. Your power, your presence, break strongholds, King of heaven. And when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough in your power, your presence, break strongholds, King of heaven. And when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Hey, if you gave your life to Jesus today, I just want you to know we're excited for you, and we'd love to connect with you, help you continue to explore what that means to follow Jesus, help you take a next step in your faith. If you could mark that on your connection card, and we can all drop those off in the buckets on our way out of the room. That'll help us connect with you this week. And if you need some prayer after the service, it's going to be a team up here who'd love to pray for you. And if you have any questions about Northshore, you can go to the guest services table, and there's a team back there who'd love to answer those. And you know what? It's time for the Summer Palooza. So get on out there, get some food. We're going to have a blast. We're going to have some live music a little bit later. It's going to be great. So we love you. Get on out there. See you there. Bye.
Well, once again, we are so thankful that you joined us here at Northshore Online. And we hope that if you're in the area here, you are able to come in and join us at the Palooza. We would love to see you there.
Yeah. And if you said yes to Jesus for the first time today in response to that great message, that's honestly the best decision that you've just made, and we'd love to know so that you can take your next right step. You can visit us on northshore.church on our website, and there's a text bubble there where you can let us know that you made that decision.
Yeah, congratulations. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you at the Palooza or later on this week, but if not, we'll see you right back here next week, same time, same place at Northshore Online. You guys have a good week.
See ya.